Did you know that for this movie, Miguel was originally only going to play guitar and not sing, but when the director discovered Anthony Gonzalez was in fact a talented singer, it was decided Miguel would do both so Anthony could share his talent in the film. So this is my first time ever seeing Coco. I'm about 8 years late to the party. I don't know why I never got around to see this movie. There are very few Pixar movies that I haven't seen, and I can't believe I missed out on this movie because it's really, really good, and it's also just so beautiful and so many great things going on in this movie. I have so many great things to say about this movie, and there's one thing that I didn't like, but I will save that for the end of the review. The strongest part of this movie, and the thing that this movie really hinged on, was Mexican culture, specifically Dia de los Muertos, Day of the Dead, just how it's celebrated, but also just like the intricacies surrounding the beliefs in the Mexican culture with family, and there's like a veil between them and the afterlife, and their loved ones who have passed on can visit them on Dia de los Muertos. So I don't know a whole lot about Day of the Dead. I mean, I know about as much as the average American, I would say, but I thought it was really, really informative as well. I never knew some of the stuff about the celebration, but the animation to just showcase all this was extraordinarily beautiful. Just the flower bridge leading into the afterlife, all the bright colors and the cities and the spirit animals. I mean, it was so cool just seeing this culture just being represented like this. There are many Spanish-speaking people among us today, so I mean, it's definitely a movie that I would encourage you to check out just to get a little more informed. So like when you do, if you have, Mexican friends and they talk about, the Day of the Dead, you'll know a lot more, and you could maybe even have some more conversations with them, more impactful, deeper conversations about, their family ofrenda, or just a specific family member that they really looked up to and want to continue carrying on the traditions of that family member. Second thing I liked about this movie is I really enjoyed the characters and also the life lessons that we got in this movie. The character, Miguel, really well done, really enjoyed his character a lot. One of the things I liked the most about him was he was such an outgoing individual. Like he believed in his passion against everybody, against his family, against everyone, even though they were looking out for his best interests and stuff. He just had that burning passion inside of him, and I have to just say, whatever the passion is, like if you can see in the person's eyes and how they talk and how excited they are about it, and how they just want to immerse themselves in it. And music is like an incredibly powerful force. I dare say, in this case, they're making it out to be like a supernatural force, a spiritual force, like it could connect you to the other side. And he wasn't afraid to go above and beyond. I mean, he did get a little, let's say, a little less than ethical with some things, but I mean, when you're in his position, so you gotta improvise a little bit, and sometimes you gotta break the law. I mean, I don't endorse that at all, but I hate it when family puts you in that position where you feel like the only thing you can do is something unethical, like breaking in and stealing a guitar just to prove yourself, like just to show your family like you love what you do and you want to do it and you're doing it to honor your family. I really loved, Hector, another great character, very unexpected plot twist. That was an amazing plot twist, but he was a very funny character. Like I always like when the first time you meet somebody, and then then you finally get to know him. But he's a very funny individual. I like that. But then eventually you get to see he's just a really broken guy, like a really broken man. Nobody remembered him, and I feel like a lot of the comedy and all that is just him just trying to cover up how broken he is. Like he's always trying to get on somebody's ofrenda, no matter how he's got to do it. If he's got to cross-dress to get on there, he's got to cross-dress. I mean, that was pretty funny. But just like the relationship he starts building with Miguel, and Miguel finds out who Hector really is, that was just, my jaw dropped when, that big reveal of who he was and how, Ernesto was really bad guy. That was crazy twist there, but I love it. It's that lesson of, you shouldn't always look up to your heroes because they have, they're humans too. They're not deities. If you put them any higher than that, you will always be disappointed, and that's kind of the lesson Miguel had to learn, but also just how Ernesto was just such a smooth talker and Rico Suave type dude, and just he had his dark secret he was keeping for years and years, and he ruined his best friend Hector's life over and his legacy for almost 100 years because of that. I mean, crazy stuff, but he was so good at it, like so good at just hiding that. He definitely goes down as a pretty good villain in my book. If there's anything to take away from this movie, is nobody likes being forgotten. Everyone in their life is going to experience the feeling of being forgotten. Hopefully not a whole lot, because it's a terrible, terrible feeling. But like, everybody wants to be remembered in some way, shape, or form. And how do you remember a family member is very, very important, especially in this context, because the culture itself, you know, if you forget them, they can't reunite with their loved ones in the afterlife. So it's even deeper. The power of music, man. The power of music. It ties that memory in. The science behind music and the mind and how it all connects to like the memories. Even, you know, we saw with Coco. She's, I don't know how old she was, probably about 100 years old or so. And yet, the power of music was able to just like trigger that memory back when she was, you know, a little kid, like 3-4 years old, 90-some years ago, and she was still able to recall those words, even though she was failing mentally, she wasn't really there, she was reaching the end of her time. Music was what brought her back. So do not underestimate the power of music, because it is maybe one of the coolest secret weapons us humans have. Then I'd say the only thing I didn't like about this movie is the last several years Pixar has been really leading into the whole family trauma formula, but it's all like the family thing, like it's the abuela is the bad guy, and you know the victim is the grandkid or whatever. Like, it's a pretty boring formula, honestly. It doesn't give you much depth to a story when you rely on stuff like that. And it reminded me of Encanto a lot. I know Encanto came out way after Coco, but that was like one of the first things I thought of. Was this reminds me a lot of Encanto, because of one, the abuela was like the bad guy. The abuela was the one saying, don't pursue your dreams, you can't do this, you know, making the person out to be a complete rebel and a terrible family member. And then you have Bruno in Encanto, and you have Hector here in Coco, very, very similar. They were both misunderstood individuals, and they were both remembered for the wrong things and completely shunned by their family for the wrong reasons, and because you know, the abuela had the power, the matriarchy of the family, and just told everyone, don't talk about Hector, we don't talk about Hector, we don't talk about Bruno. That's the only negative thing I have to say about this movie. This was a beautiful movie, you know, just very inspiring, very, very well done. I really did enjoy this movie a lot. So for Coco, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10 Mudflaps. And remember, leave me a thumbs up and drop in the comments below. What is your favorite cultural Disney or Pixar movie? See you soon.